Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I wasn't able to record for the last few weeks. I've been really busy, but today I'm back to record and there's a squiggly brain in the middle of the screen. That's really weird. But today I'm going to be teaching you about our brain, one of the most important body parts in our body. Inside the brain. By me. Surprising, right? By me. So the human brain has a lot of parts, and that's going to be part one of today's video. The parts are going to be the brain has 6 major parts, and they are the frontal lobe, which is the red part in the background, the parietal lobe, which is the yellow part in the background, the temporal lobe, which is the purple part in the background, the occipital lobe, which is the light blue part, the cerebellum, which is the orangish part, and the brain stem, which is at the very bottom. So let's go into detail about all those parts. The frontal lobe. What does the frontal lobe do? That's the real question. The frontal lobe controls personality, decision-making, and reasoning. So in school, when your teacher tells you, all right, you have to have a good reason for why you want this answer. Well, your frontal lobe is in charge of that. If your parents say, you're nice, well, then your frontal lobe made you nice because that's your personality. So now, what does the temporal lobe do? The temporal lobe is on either side of the brain. One is right here, and the other one is here. So that's where the temporal lobe is located. What does the temporal lobe do? Well, it helps you hear sounds. It is located right above the ear on both sides. So now, the parietal lobe. What does the parietal lobe do? It helps you feel stuff. So right now I'm feeling my water bottle. Oh, my parietal lobe is helping me do that. Next, another part is the occipital lobe. And what does the occipital lobe do? It helps you see stuff. But surprisingly, the occipital lobe is in the back of your head. It helps you see, but it's in the back of your head. So right now I'm looking at the screen. Well, my occipital lobe is in charge of that. The cerebellum. What does the cerebellum do? The cerebellum helps you balance. If you didn't have your cerebellum, then right now I'd be falling around and going random and random. And when one of your teachers say, stand on one foot, well, that's the cerebellum's job to help you keep balance. The cerebellum is right below the occipital lobe. And now the brainstem. What does the brainstem do? It helps you do unintentional things like breathing. Right now I'm breathing. My brainstem is helping me do that. When I blink my eyes every few seconds, my brainstem is helping me do that. Because I'm not intending to do all that. So now this is part 2. This is part 1 of the neurons. Every time you learn something new. So recently I learned how to play tennis. Well, my neurons made a new friend. So now, every time I forget how to play tennis or how to hit a stroke in tennis or how to do swimming, my neurons lose a friend. So basically, the neurons help the brainstem do things. So now this is the parts of the neuron. The neurons send and receive messages to make your body do something. So right now, neurons are working in my body to help. The neurons are working in my body to help me talk. The parts of the neurons are the dendrites, the cell body, and the axon. Each of them will be explained later in the slides. So now the dendrites. The dendrites are these little, what the arrows are pointing to, these little branches on the neuron. The dendrites receive the messages that the previous neuron sends and then passes it on to the cell body. The cell body is the part where the arrow is pointing. What does a cell body do? So remember, the dendrites, they received the message, but they didn't really do anything. They just received it and gave it. They didn't even look at it. What the cell body does is it's going to read the message that the dendrites gave them. Then it's going to decide, is this important? Is this really important? Does my body really need to know? If the answer is yes, then they give it to the axon. If the answer is no, then they just delete the message. They just forget the message. And now the axon, the last part. When the axon gets the note, it just passes the note on to the next neuron's dendrite. So basically the dendrites go, receive, give. Cell body goes, read. Okay, is this important? Passes it on to axons if the answer is yes. If the answer is no, then rip, throws it in the trash. The axon takes the note, gives it to the next dendrite. So now this is part 3. Did you know the brain is always working, even when you're sleeping? This is why we dream. Because if the brain wasn't working while we sleep, then we wouldn't breathe while we're sleeping. We wouldn't dream while we're sleeping. So the brain is always working. Poor brain. So why do we yawn? Have you ever wondered that? You yawn to bring oxygen into your blood and your brain. But that's weird. Don't we breathe like regularly? But when we're tired, we breathe slowly, thus allowing less oxygen. So that's why we yawn, to inhale more oxygen. Phobia. Phobia is being scared of something you don't need to be scared of. Anxiety. Anxiety is being scared of something that you don't know. You don't know what you're scared of. So now part number 4, I think. Squiggles. Squiggles, squiggles, squiggles. I've shown so many pictures about the brain already. And they have so many squiggles. Have you ever wondered why they are squiggles? That's going to be, you're going to get the answer in the next few slides. The squiggles help the brain fit inside your head. You know a lot of things, but your brain is actually smaller than the amount of things you know. If you untangle all those squiggles, then the brain will not fit inside your head. So, who has a bigger brain? I mean, look at the picture. The blue whale or the human brain? If you said blue whale, then you're wrong. Because, so who is smarter? The human is smarter. Just because you have a big brain does not mean you're smarter. Your brain has to have more squiggles. And as you can see in the picture above, our brain has more squiggles than the whale brain. So the whale brain is really, really big, but it doesn't have that much squiggles. We untangle those squiggles and we untangle human brain squiggles, well, the human brain would have more. The human brain would be bigger, sorry. So now part 5, I think. How to be smart. Number 1, you gotta eat healthy. Number 2, you gotta exercise. Number 3, read. I love reading. And number 4, do something that's hard for you. Don't always do things that are easy for you. Did you know the brain has 2 halves? They're called hemispheres. Corpus callosum. The corpus callosum lets the 2 hemispheres talk to each other. It's kind of like a mailman or a bridge. Fun fact. Your hemispheres control the opposite side of your body. What? Further explanation. The right hemisphere of your brain actually controls the left side of your body. So right now I'm moving my left hand, which means my right side of my brain is actually controlling my left hand. Now I'm moving my right hand. How's it going? My left hemisphere is controlling that. So the left hemisphere controls the right part of the body. Just a fun fact. Part 6, Inside Out's Anger Guy. I am mad. When you get mad, the part of your brain that gets triggered is called the amygdala. So here's what the brain looks like on the inside. Hippocampus. The hippocampus helps you remember things. For those of you that like Greek mythology, hippocampus is actually a horse, fish, pony thingy-majig in Greek mythology. So the hippocampus helps you remember things. That's the blue part. The amygdala is the yellow parts. Calm down. The frontal lobe stops the amygdala and it does not let you do bad things. So I don't know if you remember or not, but in the frontal lobe, we said that the frontal lobe controls personality, decision-making, and reasoning. Well, it also controls the amygdala. It helps the amygdala calm down. When you're mad, have you realized that you can't stay mad for so long? That's because your frontal lobe is helping you calm down. So that's all about the brain. Hope you enjoyed. I just found this lying around and I wanted to share all I knew about the brain with you. So now you know all about the brain and you can understand how your brain is working. So see you next time. This is Dhairya. Peace.